Welcome back! I'm Aladino and I'm refitting a Cape George Cutter 36 together with my wife Maya. Last week we did some fiberglassing and some treatment to the cabin top. That is just to prevent the wood, our plywood cabin top, to rot if a leak would occur. Far went pretty smoothly. This week we're going inside and we're going to focus on the galley.
Major cutouts.
It's just rough to know where the floor grid is. The galley is going to be a total rebuild, which was never kind of the plan. Early on during this refit, we discovered that our boat was insulated with balsa instead of foam like they use now, and that led us to ripping up the fiberglass to get underneath the balsa and checking it. The one place that we thought we would leave for never or later was the galley.
I thought things were turning around, but this is very, very disappointing.
As we dug into it just a little bit, we found out that it was the worst and the most affected area. So it pretty much all had to go to start from scratch. So we've started from the ground up, and since it is such a big area to cover, we have actually gotten foam instead of balsa. That is in place. Then we also did some fiberglassing in the bilge. We reinforced the tanks, changed the design, and we put in a floor grid. So we've started pretty much from the ground up here. And mostly or mainly I'm starting with the cabin sole. Eventually the chart table is going to go back in. There is quite a bit of work that will be done to the chart table. We will put in drawers. There's also going to be a partition again here that makes our galley cabinet. Eventually I'm going to build a fridge. So just cabinetry in here needs to start reappearing. And it all starts with the cabin sole. So right now I'm determining again where these inspection grates were positioned because we're going to reuse them. At the end we're going to go for the same aesthetic where we're going to put teak and holly over the part that doesn't have it at the moment.
It's gonna look great!
Yeah.
Get it?
Oh, yes. Alright, so the mess you see on the table is the cabin sole, and hopefully my lines are correct. I shall make the cuts now. To cut out the access hatches that we have in our cabin sole, I used the track saw, and I love this track saw. I think it is the best tool for the job. Of course, also a circular saw could do if you use it with a track, but with a track you just get very precise cuts. Okay, the main cuts are done, but the track saw being a round blade, of course, it doesn't cut straight down on where the corners meet. So for that, I'm gonna grab my Japanese pull saws. I love those. Alright, my cuts are made, and now I shall remove this part, which shall be replaced by the beautiful hatches. Cool. Another tool that does precise cuts would be the table saw, but then you would have to measure very accurately, whereas instead with the track saw you lay the track on top so you can lay it on the line that you want to cut. You cannot draw a line and then put it upside down on a table saw, you wouldn't see it. I really like this setup. We're a simple boatyard out here, and this really works for these kind of jobs.
want to fit the hatches in and see how they look?
Yeah, well, it's not quite the grand reveal as you might hope, because there's gonna be teak trim to close up
the end grain?
Yeah, thank you. To close up the end grain, and also that's how you do hatches, so like that's how the entire boat is done. So I cut away more now to allow for that.
Okay.
But roughly this is gonna go here. Done correctly, if there is similar amount around everywhere, it will be 5 millimeters. And we're doing that later on eventually, because if I add it now, we want the trim to be at the final height of the sole, including the teak and holly that we will add. So if we add it now, it's something that we will get smushed and dented and damaged quickly.
Oh yeah.
Instead, once you have the floor at the height that it has to be, then we put in the trim at the very end.
Okay.
So that's something to look for later.
My job, while Aladino continues working on the galley, will be actually priming and painting the bottoms of all of these hatches just to protect them. This hatch does actually have a bit of paint on it already, but the other hatches that came initially with the boat, like these beautiful teak and holly ones, are actually bare wood on the underside, so we want to provide a bit of a layer of protection there.
So it's slowly also time to start thinking about the galley cabinetry again, and luckily we'll get some help there. We'll go to a friend of ours, which some of you have met already. We're visiting Ken. He's the boat builder and professional carpenter who's building an aluminum sailboat in his backyard, the Hummingbird, and he has offered some help. His workshop and tools are more set up also to build a set of drawers for our chart table, which is super exciting. Previously, the chart table was an icebox, and we have dug it all out because we need some storage and drawers in the boat, and we are also going to change the fridge location. By adding the drawers, it also means that our chart table will not lift from the top. Many chart tables, they hinge up. We prefer accessing the storage through the drawers, so what is on the surface can stay there and we don't have to remove things to get to whatever's below. So I'm gonna rummage through the workshop to see what materials I can find. I'm sure we have a lot of Okoume plywood cut-offs, which can become the drawer, and then we have that beautiful teak, which will be teak faces of the drawers. We might also have Ken make us another corner post to build our fridge. Our galley is going to receive one more corner. I know that I don't have posts of teak, so I might have to glue two pieces together. Okay, so we have some nice leftovers here. What else do we have here? So these are the biggest leftovers. I'm also gonna lay out some of this beautiful teak now, which we got from Brock. So I'm also gonna see what Maya likes best, but I'm gonna choose my selection first. She is applying primer right now. These ones have very different grain, and it's very beautiful too, but I think this blends in more with what is there now. This is so amazing when I can rummage through teak. I think with this pile that I selected here, I might be able to make something work for a corner post. All right, I have a famous... Wait, I have to announce you first. I have a famous person, and we shall hear her opinion about these teak drawer faces.
Okay.
Let me introduce Maya!
A guest to the channel!
A guest to the channel. Okay, so I pulled out all the pieces of teak that we have that can be the drawer faces. Yeah, I would like to hear your opinion. What would you like to see?
Okay, these three are my least favorite.
Okay.
I prefer this side,
Okay.
but this one is absolutely the most beautiful.
Oh, okay.
I love burl. And if we were to do maybe we could do like the bottom and the top, the bottom and the top drawer a more plain grain, and then the middle one be a more interesting grain.
Mm-hmm. Well, lay them out how you would want them then. But I agree, I would have chosen these three.
Yeah.
This is my selection. Because they match themselves and they match what we have a little more.
These are also, they do have a bit more interest to them, and these ones also have some swirly whirly parts. I really like the swirly whirly parts.
Yeah, well, okay. Speaking of drawers, though.
These three?
We packed these three up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Place to rest my bones. Can recall life like this. And Sunday come and I go wrong. Yeah, she found herself another. By evening she was gone. I picked up, cut the wind.
Alright, time for a little road trip. We're going to be heading up Whitby Island, over the beautiful Deception Pass Bridge.
To New Orleans, where I did myself some drinking in the Faubourg Marigny, and I can't recall what I'd seen. By summertime I sobered up, and I hopped myself a train to find a place that ain't so hot. Found a home, Kentucky.
We have arrived at Ken's magical shop. Hello, hi Ken.
Hi.
Yeah, we're really appreciative that Ken is gonna help us out with a few woodworking projects, because you've been a cabinet maker and a boat builder most of your life, right?
Right. I opened my own cabinet shop in 1987 and ran it off and on, worked for other people for a bit here and there, worked in the shipyards when work got slow. And it was interesting work, and it's paid off in my project.
Yeah, because you have got quite the project going on for yourself.
Yeah, so we're looking at similar launch times, hopefully late May, early June, if it ever warms up enough to finish the outside work.
Mm-hmm. Now it's tough.
Yeah, that's the hard part right now. So yeah, my project is 52 feet overall, with including the bowsprit. Bow pulpit and the davit arms. So that's what the marina would charge us for. It's about 40 foot on deck, 36 at the waterline, almost exactly.
Wow.
So interesting how that math worked out.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly my design and extrapolation of the hull lines from a smaller boat, and then
which you've also built.
But
in wood, so you really
so,
really is a master of all trades here.
And hopefully, once we get the sea trials over with, we'll head down the coast to warmer climate and stay there.
Nice. That sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to join you on our boat, and
maybe we'll time it just right to buddy boat on the way down.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be great. All right.
But yeah, I recommend everybody should check out because you also have a channel, so everybody can see your project and your boat.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. It's Hummingbird 2 sailboat build.
Totally. Yeah. Or could we put the plywood right to the bulkhead instead? I think I'll work from the top because we don't have counter space yet. Or counters. Yeah, almost not visible, the seams.
Yeah, I don't throw much away.
That's amazing. So cool.
That took like 10 minutes start to
Yeah.
finish. That's crazy.
That's where you can tell the difference from the pros to the amateurs. So yeah, we've basically decided not to only allow for 1/2-inch plywood, which we will use, but since we mostly use the Okome plywood and we don't want that visible, now we've added a 1/4-inch extra for some teak paneling. So the panel will actually be flush with the corner. That's pretty cool.
This is going to be so beautiful.
Nice, thank you, Ken.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Look at your smile,
Easy
Deanie.
peasy.
I was pretty impressed when Ken made those corner posts for us. It would have taken me a long time because I would have either done it with a hand plane or other tools. But yeah, his setup is really the way to go, and you can see the difference of how quickly it gets done. And also just his experience. That was really awesome. We will come back later to pick up the chart table and the drawers. Ken, thanks so much. Back at the workshop, the work kept progressing.
Yeah, so I didn't film this, but yesterday I did paint the undersides of all these floor pieces that we're putting in. So of course this is really not a visual thing, it's just for protection because a lot of them were bare wood. But it was actually like a perfect opportunity for me to practice painting with the Epiphanes paint because Aladino has always done the Epiphanes paint because I was like, well, we want a good finish and you know how to get a good finish. And I was curious to see how much of the beautiful results we always get with that paint was Aladino's technique and how much of it was actually just the paint working well.
So none of it is me.
No, it is of course also you, but I was really pleasantly surprised with how easy it was.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really happy with this finish. It's beautiful. I mean, there's a bit of dust in here, but that's what happens.
Totally. No, as I always say, it's all in the prep. And 2-part paints, they require better conditions.
Yeah, so we had the fireplace going.
Exactly. Cold temperatures, 1-part paints are better, so you do have to give it the right conditions for it to work properly.
Yeah. So now that we have the floors kind of ready to be installed and put in place, that's really big because now we can start building up from there. And the next thing we're going to do is start thinking about the Galley cabinetry. And actually, this piece over here is sort of a preview of one of the Galley pieces. This is going to be under the sink. So this part that I've painted is actually on the inside. So again, it's more for protection than anything else. It's going to be like this, and what we've actually thought to do is to put teak paneling on the outside, which I really like the look of paneling. I think it looks, in my opinion, nicer than plywood. So we'll have that, and then this part will be hidden by the stove. The stove will be here, the sink will be here.
But it still gets like a sheet metal protection. That would be nice.
Yeah, heat protection from the stove. So, the Galley. I think this episode is going to come to a close right about here. I'm super excited to go see what Ken creates. I think it's going to be beautiful, and we're very, very, very grateful to him for helping us out with this. And yeah, the floor is in place now, which is huge because for the past little while we have been balancing on floor beams and there's been no ladder to get in and out, so we've been like sort of clambering in and out of the forward hatch, which is quite the arm workout, but I'm pretty done with that. So I'm excited to have a literal solid surface to stand on. And yeah, we're just gonna keep going. This is a ground up refit in the galley, which is not something we planned on, but once we realized that the walls were super rotten, we just, went full on, and the water tanks are stronger and more impervious to contamination, and everything's looking good. Okay, anyway, that's my wrap up. Huge thanks for watching. As always, if you liked the video, please leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you get notified every Friday when we post a new episode updating you on Magic Carpet's progress. If you really enjoyed the episode, please leave us a comment letting us know what you think. We read them all, we reply to some of them, but we do read them all. And an extra big thanks to our patrons for making all of this possible. If you'd like to become a patron for as little as $2 a month, it's very flexible how much you donate, then we post lots of behind the scenes stuff there. For example, every Tuesday or Wednesday, depending how the week's going, we post a real-time update in which we do a quick walkthrough of the boat and show you what we're working on in real time, keep you involved in the real time decisions and progress, because these episodes take me a very long time to edit, and yeah, they're not real time. What else? I think, extra big thank you to these folks whose names are now appearing on screen for always going the extra mile to make sure these episodes keep being produced. We'll see you all next Friday.